Hey everybody, it is day 49 of Spiritual Healthcare. Welcome. It is a rainy and chilly day, Spiritual Healthcare Day, here in Edmonton. I don't know what it is doing where you guys are, but we are a little bit on the rainy side this afternoon, which is okay because we need the rain. We don't want the forest fires happening and all over the province and things like that. So good morning, everybody, to day 49 of this. This is super exciting. I'm really going to be glad to get into today's topic because it relates a bit to yesterday and all of the things that we've been chatting about. So this is going to be really cool. I also got some really great questions that have come in. Good morning, Marge and Jay and Kaz and Patricia. Nice to see you guys. It always is so good to see everybody. I'm bringing up the questions here, so make sure we get to them today. Because we got some really good ones and that have popped up, and I want to chat today about the concept of red flags. Red flags, not only in hauntings and whatnot, but also with people, and to see how that kind of overlaps and what we can learn from hauntings, investigations, and whatnot, and starting to look at how we can apply that to red flags in regards to our interactions with day-to-day people, because sometimes the toxicity that's going on in our immediate family groups and things like that end up contributing to negative hauntings and stuff like that. So we have to end up taking a look at that hardcore. So good morning, Brandy and Shadow and Sally and Darren, everybody. Hello guys, so good to see you. I hope you guys had a great evening yesterday. It was really good here as well. Tonight, I'm going to be recording, I'm the debut guest on a brand new podcast that's coming out called Conspiracy Podcast with the amazing Emily Stakely, and it's going to be really fun. So once that airs and is put together, I will post that for you guys. It's going to be it's going to be super cool. Her interviews are always a blast. I love doing shows with What the Frick. It's just great. So yeah, everybody's had toxic crap happen in their experience and dealt with people that have disrupted things that have been going on. But we're going to talk today about some of those red flags and some of the things that I've noticed over the years that have been consistent. I've been talking with various people in my day-to-day experience and sort of comparing notes and whatnot, and it seems to be there's some common denominators, and I think we need to grab onto them and understand what they are so that we can spot them, going into our future, because we're trying to clean up all of our stuff, right? We're trying to clean it up, and we want to be clear about the people around us and what's going on and all of that. Good morning, Jason. Hello. It is so good to see everyone this morning. I wanted to start out firstly with a Instagram question that came in from Agent Loki Quinn, and I wanted to grab this one right off the bat because I thought it was something important to address. They asked if I light a candle to honor those who have passed as well as those who are living, will it be okay? I don't want to do it from the wrong space. Basically, they don't want to attract something negative, and so I wanted to grab this question right off the bat because we are going to be talking about the toxic people and things like that. And the thing is with, anything like, lighting a candle or, doing any sort of honoring of the people around us or anything like that it's just about the intention. It doesn't matter what you do, whether it be, light a candle, whether it be, concentrate and focus or meditate or anything like that. Really what it is just, it's doing it from that place of, pure positive energy, from that intention, from that place of peace, and have set that intention to make it a peaceful experience. And that's really the key. So anytime that you're doing something to honor or focus or appreciate, and you're pouring that appreciation into something, you're gonna get a positive result from that. If you are in the vibration of appreciation, man, that is where you want to be at. That's totally where you want to be at. So is there a chance at that point that you're going to be bringing something in that's negative? There's, no way, you're going to be, if you're focusing that appreciation, you're going to get what you're drawing to you based on your, your own intention and emotions. So no, yeah, light those candles, celebrate your loved ones, and celebrate the people that are still around you, because they're the ones that are there, that we can interact with regularly, to lift ourselves up and things like that. So do that. Good morning, Chrissy. Good morning, everyone. It's just so good to see everybody coming in and logging in, and being able to do this every day it's just a blast. So I wanted to talk about the idea of red flags today, and what I've noticed throughout my experience as to what some of these things actually are, and how it makes sense and plays into our world. Whether you're an investigator or you're you're just going through your day-to-day experience or whatever, we end up running into toxic energy, and sometimes it's from people that we love, sometimes it's from people that maybe normally aren't that way, but there's a group of people, because everybody has a bad day, right? But there's those groups of people that kind of have this disrupted core, and they don't really ever change. We see them kind of improve for a little bit, and then bam, they kind of tank again, and we notice that they've just got these bad behaviors that they're repeating over and over and over again, and bringing them into our experience. So how do we love ourselves enough to be able to take a step back and go, okay, let's take a look at some of the common denominators, because it's so easy sometimes to get sucked back into those cycles, where you're like, man, they've done this, a million times before, but this time it's going to be different because they've really moved forward. And we have to start to look at what it is that, number one, that we want in our experience. What do we want in our experience? But also we have to start taking a look at what they are creating in their experience as well, and what they are choosing. So one of the things that I've noticed about toxic, or a lot of toxic people anyway, is the fact that they are often late all the time. And everybody's late every once in a while, but I'm talking everywhere they go, they either don't show up, or they're consistently late as hell. And what I've noticed is that it's a red flag, because it begins to show that they don't have respect for you. They don't have respect for your time, but also that they don't have integrity in themselves in order to hold themselves to a standard of being able to behave in a certain way that is respectful. So it's respectful to themselves, disrespectful to themselves also. Somebody that's always pulling energy from us, okay? And I'm not talking I'm gonna meditate and try to disrupt you or something like that. What I'm talking about is things like they're constantly broke, constantly asking for money from you. They're constantly asking for things all the time. They're a taker, not a giver. The people that are constantly requiring favors and are constantly in crisis, one after the other, lots of drama that's going on. All of these different traits as well, I must say, oftentimes will translate with people that are having issues with some negative haunting stuff. So I have to add that in there too. The one thing that I've found that has been also extremely consistent, and something that I think everybody needs to pay attention to, is, are they willing to give up the things that are making them ill, that are making them sick? Are they willing to give up that drama in their experience in order to heal or better themselves? Are they willing to do that? A lot of them are not. They are not. They will fight and hold on to whatever is causing the drama in their experience. It was crazy. I knew somebody a number of years ago, and that would constantly be phoning me all the time and saying couldn't get work done in his place because his place was just horribly messy. You're basically a hoarder, horribly messy. And would phone and be so upset because they'd be way behind on deadlines, way behind on, all of this, all the work that they were doing. And I'd say, pick up your stuff, go to the library. clean up your space, or go somewhere where you can get this thing done. And they would say, oh yeah, okay, I'll do that. 3 hours later, I would get another phone call. They hadn't moved, they hadn't cleaned their space up, they hadn't gone to a place that, was going to facilitate their work or their learning, and this would happen over and over and over and over again. So it was just constant crisis, and always on the phone complaining about the crisis. So are they willing? Are you willing to give up the thing that is making you sick, whether it be a relationship, whether it be a job? Lots of people in that boat. Stuck in a bad job, saying that they're just, no, can't move, can't do, won't do. And a lot of people that hang on to very toxic people in their environment. And again, seeing the rerun over and over and over again of the same behavior. Are you willing to give up what it is that is making you sick in order to save yourself? The big question. Ignoring intuition. And this one, unfortunately, falls in our laps. It's so funny because the number one thing that I hear from people that have been in a situation where they've had a negative paranormal experience or lived in a haunted home that has been a not good space to be, the number one thing they always say is that when I walked in, I knew something was off and I ignored it. Every single time. There's the same story. They ignored the gut feeling. They ignored that intuition. And what I firmly believe what that intuition is our ability, our minds, our bodies, our hearts, connecting in with our inner being, and ignoring that inner being's internal guidance. I really do. And I think when we ignore it, we run into problems almost consistently. That guidance is there for a reason. And as I say, unfortunately, this fourth point absolutely falls in our lap. And looking back, I'm sure if you guys, take a look at situations and you start looking back, you're going to start to see, where those little red flags cropped up. And you begin to take a look, but it's a consistent factor in every single place that I've been, where clients are asking for my help in dealing with a negative haunting in their home or with their family, is that they saw the red flags at the beginning and they just ignored it, and usually that's because we tell ourselves a story about what we wish we want to see. Right? What we wish we were seeing, which leads us into the next point, into the fifth point, which is, are they dealing with the truth? Are you dealing with somebody, or are you dealing with the truth? Are you actually telling yourself what you want to hear? Are they telling you what you want to hear? Are they living in a fantasy land? Because a lot of people, and this is something we found that has been quite consistent, is that the people who are usually going to create a problem have an entirely different world that's going on. They've made up a story about their, what's happened to them, maybe something that they think you've done to them. They are creating fantasy lands about the facts. And they're not sticking to the facts either. Oftentimes you'll see that the facts explode into some other story or something like that, and it gets very interesting. With clients, I have to be very careful about it, because as we're, as I'm talking to people or doing an interview, if I've got other investigators with me, taking a look and listening very closely to the story when they start versus the story when they end, and see if that story starts to change, if their language gets more elaborate, all of those things. We have to be very careful about what that is. Why are they telling the story that they're telling? Where this starts to end up getting really, really difficult is when you get into a situation where you're in conflict with one of these people, and they will literally create a story to pin on you so that they can be right or they can be the victim, one or the other. Usually it's the victim. That's a popular position. But they will create a story that will support their version of what they want to believe. And sometimes that story can get incredibly convoluted. I've had some pretty weird ones over the years of people creating stuff that, you know, doesn't make any sense. But at the end of the day, they don't want to hear it. They really don't want to hear your side of things. They're not interested. And that can be just fine. That's the time, you know, as we've talked about before, you disengage. You just disengage. The sixth point is, do they have a pattern of that behavior in other situations? Like with their parents, for instance, you know, what's up with that? Do they have that pattern of in their work, in their jobs? You know, are they, you know, constantly in sort of these short-term commitments, can't keep a commitment, whether it be a relationship, whether it be a job, whether it be, do they have follow through, you know, or are they just, you know, is everything in their experience really spotty? That can be another big one, because when we start to see that, then you have to start to ask yourselves, number one, what are these other people seeing that they're backing up? You know, they're backing up and they're saying, no, I don't think so. You know, and what is it that they are doing to contribute to what the breakdown has been? This is something that's always been very interesting to me, is listening to people tell their story. To tell their story. Do they own it? Do they own it? You know, if I'm whether I'm interviewing a client, whether I'm interviewing, you know, or talking to somebody, you know, during an interview or anything like that, I have to start to listen to what these people are saying and how they're saying it. You know, if they're talking about their, you know, say they're a coworker or bosses or family members, especially, you know, if they're looking back and going, all of these people were just terrible to me, and, you know, I can't imagine what I could have done wrong, and blaming, then that would tell you pretty quickly that this is somebody who has no ownership about what has happened. There's no ownership of the breakdown. So in a situation, you know, like that, what you'd prefer to be hearing, what you prefer to be seeing is, you know what, I don't get along with this person. I'm not a fan of this person. You know, I keep my distance. You know, best of luck to them. But this isn't something that I wish to engage in any longer. You know, and maybe it is owning that point. Hey, you know what? I was an addict. I didn't treat this person very well, or, you know, I did X, Y, Z, but man, have I learned from it. That ability to reframe and own that, it's so crucial. It's so important, because guaranteed, if you move into a new situation with them, you will be the next person. You'll be it. You will be the next person. That's just the way it goes. They will, if they will do it with you, they'll do it to you. So it's something to really be aware of. The last one that I think is just so key to touch on today with this is insight. Insight. Do they have insight? Insight and empathy are two biggies. And empathy is usually, you can somewhat gauge empathy, and sometimes the best way to do that is to actually throw them out as a story, like a news story or something like that, and see how they respond. Something that, you know, might be tragic or something like that, and see how they frame it. That can be really interesting. But insight, non-learners. A lot of people that are extremely toxic, you will see the behavior over and over and over and over, with no concept that this behavior either doesn't work, you know, is going to get them into trouble, when usually they've already been in trouble for it multiple times, you know, or just no insight, just no ability to take what they have and what they've experienced and roll it into the next situation. And now it seems like something that it just would make sense. You know, we all learn it as kids. You know, don't touch the stove. You know, the kid defies mom and dad, goes and touches the stove, burns their fingers. Oh my God, I'm never going to touch the stove again. But it's interesting with a lot of non-learning people, is that they will turn around and recreate the same behavior again and again and again. And usually it's in the form of sabotage somewhere. but they have a consistent pattern of sabotaging themselves and thinking that things are going to be different the next time around. There used to be a meme or quote or something like that out there that was the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting it to be different. And the people that are stuck in the non-learning really do have that problem. They can't see it. Sometimes it's because people are too close to it. Sometimes it's because they've been drug into a pattern or toxic pattern with people. There's a whole bunch of different reasons for it, but often it's they're doing the same behavior over and over and over again, that continues to get them into trouble or to sink their business or sink their relationship or whatever it is. So another big red flag of toxic people, non-learning. They seem to all do it. So this isn't a situation of, being judgmental. Like, for example, I don't go into, in interviews with clients or anything like that in any sort of judgmental fashion. But what it is about gathering data. So it's not about being able to go in and point fingers or, blame people or anything like that. It's really not about that at all. But what it is about being able to walk in and just gather your data. Jason's asking, do we attract these people? They keep popping up in my life. Yeah, we do. And, some of these people, almost all of these people are really there, just like negative entities are. They're there as these indicators. There's something going on with us. There's always something going on with us that we have to start to clean up. Oftentimes, and here's a hint, oftentimes it has to do with our own worth. Usually it has to do with our own worth. There's something missing, that we are not loving ourselves. There's something going on within us that we're bringing this to us. It is an opportunity to start to look at ourselves and start to clean this up. Maybe these people are an exercise in saying no. Maybe it's a situation where, you're getting a ton of practice. You're getting a ton of practice because there's a lot of people out there that don't work that no muscle very well. And no is kind of like it is like a muscle. You have to start getting good at being able to put up that boundary. And until you can put up those firm boundaries, these people, that lesson will kind of keep coming back and repeating itself. But yeah, just like in terms of negative entities, they are often a reflection of something we've got going on within us. And we have to be able to take a hard look and go, what is it about these people that, number one, what are they seeing in me? What do they see in me that they think that they can pull this crap with me? Because there's something going on, or else, if they knew they couldn't get away with it, they wouldn't get away with it. They're not going to do that. So once we start to take a look at, well, what am I doing that they're seeing in my experience, in my energy, in what I'm doing, that they can show up and go, hey, wait a minute, this person's a target and I can turn around and make use of that. So we have to own that, but we also have to turn around and start to look at, what it is that it's requiring of us to do. So for example, it might be turning around and just saying, look, I'm out. I'm not going to allow you to perpetuate this in my experience. I'm just not. And it doesn't have to be a nasty conversation. It really doesn't. All it has to be is, this doesn't work for me. This doesn't work. Something's up. Something is up. This doesn't work for me. You might not even know what it is. Sometimes you don't even know what it is. And that can be really hard. Sometimes it's just a matter of, we have to take that step and go, you know what? Something's not right here. Sometimes it's a little more clear. Sometimes it's a little bit more clear where we can turn around and say, this behavior, this isn't good. This isn't good for me. Trust that they can handle it, right? If you've got somebody who is a loved one, trust that they can handle the truth, right? Have the faith in them that they can handle it. And if they get mad, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Nobody ever died from being mad. You know, nobody ever died from being mad, but we have to be willing to start to look at these situations. And when we see something going downhill, whether it be, you know, in a haunting, whether it be, you know, you've got somebody who is, you know, toxic in your experience, whatever that is, you have to be willing to save yourself sometimes. And in doing so, set the example. Set the example. Be that guidance. You know, you might not be able to convince them, or it's not your job to talk them through it. It's not your job to you know, have them make sense of things. But what it is your job to turn around and maintain your peace. Because if you don't, and they know that peace can be disrupted, you've got a whole nother problem. You're going to teach these people, as you know, and Dr. Phil says this all the time, which I absolutely love, which is you teach people how to treat you. And I think there are no truer words than that. And we have to start paying attention. What are we teaching these individuals about how they can interact with us? Because it's easy to label them and say this person is bad or negative or toxic or whatever it is. And it's easy to label them without turning around and taking the ownership. Look at yourself. How have we done it? Which is the process that I wanted to offer you guys today. How are you allowing this behavior to extend into your experience? What are you doing? And that might be some journaling work for you guys today, is to start thinking about the toxic people that are in your environment, especially if you've got them popping up often. What is it? What are they seeing in you that they know that they can get away with this? There's something going on. And as I say, oftentimes the big hint for me is the fact that it has to do with self-worth. Because if you don't value your peace and who you are and all of those things that we've talked about in the last number of spiritual healthcare classes, then you cannot attract people that will also value that. You just can't. It just won't happen. So that being said, I've got a really awesome reading for you guys today and a brand new book to recommend to you about this subject, because I'm telling you, when I dealt with this a number of years back, with probably one of the most toxic people I've ever had in my experience, this book saved me. Okay? Saved me. And I don't say that about many books. This book saved me. It is called Life Code. Okay? Life Code is by Dr. Phil McGraw. The New Rules for Winning in the Real World. And Life Code was an absolutely, it's brilliant. It's written from a psychological perspective about not only people that fall into these categories, but it also talks about how to move from them if you're stuck with one, as well as starting to pin the points of success. Because I'm telling you, this saved my butt. And if I hadn't have had it, I'm not sure what the hell I would have done, because my experience was really bad. So I wanted to read a piece from this, specifically to do with kids, because we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. Kids and toxic behavior, and hauntings, all tied in. But I want you guys to hear this and check this out. It's sad but true that the people we need to watch the closest are the ones in the best position to hurt us if they go rogue. So the best protection you can offer your children is to teach them to self-protect. Instead of telling them to mind the adults and do what you were told, you should be teaching them to listen to their instincts, telling them to pay attention to any funny feeling they have. This goes back to what I said to you earlier about rejecting the idea of it being appropriate to give the people the benefit of the doubt. It's just another example of why it's an outdated idea. Sometimes it can be difficult to define an abstract concept like a funny feeling for a young child. But ask your children to think of a time when they were afraid. Maybe it was in the dark, or maybe it was on a roller coaster or in a haunted house. Ask them to recall the physical feelings they had at the time. Butterflies in their stomach, sweaty palms, shivers up their spine, or whatever it was that identified fear to them. That's what you want them to watch for and react to. Identifying physical symptoms make this concept concrete enough for even young children to understand, and let those symptoms be the trigger for them to recognize that they're in trouble. And I love this, because it doesn't even have to be a massive amount of danger. It can just be something that they just aren't okay with. You know, it can just be, you know, somebody asking them to do something that they're not okay with. And we have to start to internalize that as well. And I think that is great instruction to be able to start to understand and identify and connect with the message in our inner being that is basically saying, you know what, something is off. Something is off, and that's okay. That's okay. As long as we start to acknowledge it and understand it and tune into it, it's okay. So, as I say, we're going to keep going on this subject a bit tomorrow because I want to talk about the kids and how that all interacts, and children and hauntings, because it's a very interesting subject and how this gets going. But I wanted to give you guys a really great to-do today that I think is just so cool. I think it's so cool, but I'm a Harry Potter fan, so this is extra cool for me. So the wizardingworld.com right now has decided that they are going to do a home initiative and have different people, different characters, read the first book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, chapter by chapter, beginning with Mr. Daniel Radcliffe. He's reading the first chapter, of course, Mr. Harry Potter himself. And I think this is just the cool thing because they have decided to get, there's so many people. There's Stephen Fry that's participating, Eddie Redmayne, from those of you guys who watch Fantastic Beasts. You know, he was Newt Scamander, and they're reading chapter by chapter by chapter, and it's going all to midsummer. So this is just the coolest thing, and I am like, I'm all over this. So I'm going to post the link for you guys. So if you have kids, or you're a Harry Potter fan yourself, or anything like that, I'm gonna throw this link up there because it's just the neatest thing. And I think it's so cool that they're bringing back the cast of the films to go through this book. It's so cool. So I'm gonna throw that up there for you guys on the EntitySeeker Facebook page today, so you guys can grab it. But yeah, process wise, think about how you're allowing this stuff in your experience, because it is crucial to have that insight. Now, everybody, our affirmations, we got to go into our day, pure positive energy, and to maintain our purpose, maintain our health, maintain our thoughts of joy, and dealing with our stuff, when something negative comes up, to be able to deal with it and process it. So everybody take a breath. It is natural for my body to be well. Even if I don't know what to do in order to get better, my body does. I have trillions of cells with individual consciousness, and they are learning how to achieve that individual balance. When this condition began, I didn't know what I know now. I don't need to understand the cause of this illness. I only have to gently, eventually release this illness. It doesn't matter how it got started, because it's reversing its course right now. And there's no hurry about any of this. My body knows what to do. My inner being is natural to me. My inner being is intricately aware of my physical body, and my cells are asking for what they need to thrive, and Source is answering those requests. I'm in very good hands. My only work is to relax and breathe, and I can do that easily. Everybody take a breath. So for more of those incredible affirmations, check out Abraham Hicks, because they have some of the most beautiful affirmations, in my opinion, that have ever been written. But you guys, thank you so much for this amazing opportunity, as every day, as we move through this together. Tomorrow is day 50. Day 50. It's crazy. So good. It's so good. Thank you guys for being on this journey. Thank you. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning on spiritual healthcare. Hopefully I will have some more information for you about the podcast that's coming up. And don't forget to check out, if you guys want to do that, check out the new course from the Rhine Education Center and Windbridge Institute with Dr. Mark Bacozzi, who is doing a course on art and parapsychology, featuring my work and teaching the living, and my fire art. So I will repost that link again if you guys are interested in tuning in and taking that, because it's going to be pretty fantastic. So I will post that link again. Thank you guys as always, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Spiritual Healthcare, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Share it around, guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.